Hi, I'm Peter Knight. I'm part of the team from Majicom that's building the water dispensing kiosk that we'll be talking about today.
Hi, I'm Santi. I'm a third-year PhD in bioelectronics, and I'm in charge of building the electronics and the hydraulic system of the Majicom kiosk.
What you got there?
So that's the electronic stack. This is all the bits that will ultimately go inside the main body of the kiosk, but it's just the mock-up of the bits just to see, it's a test bit.
Okay, so
All right.
Peter Knight, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Excited?
Yeah, we've got there's a lot going on. So we've got a big field trip coming up in August now. So we're kind of excited about that. There's an awful lot to do before then, so it's a bit stressful and a bit tense, but it'll be great. We'll get there, and it'll be an exciting trip. So we're looking forward to it.
Perfect. So Peter is a colleague of mine from the University of Cambridge, but he's also working on really interesting projects. And today I'm visiting him to actually discuss what he's been doing, because I think it's absolutely wonderful. And could you describe basically how you built the company, or you had Mike Cotto, who's also a colleague of us, he then became the CEO of the company, and what you're actually doing?
Yeah, so Majicom is a social enterprise, a not-for-profit company. It was started by a colleague of the two of us, Mike Cotto, who we might meet later on. And Mike was working in the lab on photocatalytic water purification methods, so means of purifying water by using the sunlight. And right from the very start, Mike was interested in developing this technology and using the technology in the developing world to help with what is a major problem in the developing world, which is clean drinking water. Yeah, it's one of the big problems facing a large percentage of the world's population. And so Mike did that project throughout the course of his PhD. It was the main thrust of his PhD, and then shortly, it's been going for a while. It's been like it's been a big thing for him. And then after his PhD, he started Majicom about 4 years ago, just before COVID actually. As I say, Majicom is a social enterprise. It's a not-for-profit company, and the idea behind Majicom was to not just. He didn't want to just have an academic project that said this is a way of doing it. He wanted to actually put something in the field and say this is useful, this is working, this can help people.
Real life application, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so we've had a number of, I think Mike's now been to Tanzania 5 times throughout the course of his field trip.
He's got the passport yet? Not even.
Yeah, not quite, and since Majicom was formed about 4 years ago, we've had 2 field trips. The second field trip was just before COVID, and we had most of the technologies that we use in water purification in the field. It was a really exciting field trip, very positive. We had an awful lot going on, and then we came back all infused and fired up together. And then COVID hit. You can't go anywhere, you can't do anything. University was shut down for 6 months. Where we are now is in a community workshop makespace in Cambridge. Makespace was shut down for the best part of 9 months, and so everything sort of came to a grinding halt, which is a great shame. But we carried on. We did quite a lot of work, and one of the things we came up with, and what you'll be seeing a little bit more of today, is that as a result of the field trip, and we've got a team of people we met in Tanzania that we're working with, so Majicom Tanzania, and we had a lot of contact with Ada University, which is in Dar es Salaam, the main city in Tanzania, and we've asked a lot of questions around how people want to help. How people want to. So one of the problems for students on the campus at Ada University is that it's not safe to drink tap water. It's not reliably safe to drink tap water. You can drink it, and 9 times out of 10 you'll be okay, but the 10th time you get sick. And so a lot of people buy bottled water, and that's expensive. It's comparatively expensive compared to your average salary in Dar es Salaam, and for a student it's quite a lot of money. And so it's like, okay, well, how can we help? And sort of one of the low-hanging fruit is, okay, well, we can provide drinking water at a half. The idea what we want to do is provide drinking water at half the cost of bottled water.
Half the cost.
Half the cost. So we want half the cost. And that in the first instance, the kiosk get installed on the campus of Ada University. Then we'll expand it out. And the reason for that is, the reason we're focusing on Ada University to start with is because it's a relatively controlled environment. So we don't have, security ultimately becomes a problem in any vending machine, but on a university campus, that's not something we have to worry about from the word go.
No.
So, and it's, because it's a relatively controlled environment, there's a lot of things we can trial, test, experiment with before we sort of expand out wider. And definitely the ambition is to expand out a lot wider than that.
Yeah.
We want to, help people across Africa but also in other areas of the world where drinking water is a problem. And so, that's again the reason why we're making a charge for the water. We're not giving the water away for free. Two reasons really. The primary reason we want to expand, and we need some money to do that. It costs money to build the kiosks. Our Majicom is not for profit, so there is no.
All your
the money,
time,
it's all volunteers.
fatigue, your energy, all goes into making drinking water for others.
Yeah, but I mean that's a feel-good project, right?
It's
It's a great project. So we're a long way down the line now. We've got a kiosk, the field trip in August, so much closer than I want to even think about at the moment. The month's 6 weeks away. Will be the first deployment of the full kiosk. So as a result of the discussions we had with people at Ardi and talking to potential customers, we sort of focused on building a water dispensing kiosk. And the kiosk is about 1.5 metres high, about half a metre across. So think about an English post box, and it's kind of like about the size of a post box.
Well, it's more or less my size, basically.
So you'll see it in a minute, and you'll see some pictures and some images. So that kiosk is they're essentially comprised of two parts: the outer skin and then the electronics inside it which make it work. Having a very local solution to development problems is very important, and so the kiosk has been designed and developed with a view to building it in Tanzania, and that's everything: building the skin of the kiosk in Tanzania, assembling the electronics in Tanzania. Obviously a lot of the components end up coming from China, that's inevitable, but the electronics is simplified has been designed to be as simple that it can be assembled in Tanzania, that the entire thing can be put together by a Tanzanian company. It can be run and it will be owned and run by a Tanzanian company. In the first instance, that'll be Ardi University. And it's operated for the benefit of Tanzanians. So we want it to be a local solution for local people, run by local people.
Sure.
Okay, so this is the skin of the kiosk in the CAD package that we use to design it. So this is what the whole thing looked like. It's about 1.5 metres tall and it's half a metre in diameter. And it's assembled in quadrants, so in two halves, so it's split around the centre, and then each half is 4 quadrants. And the difficult quadrant is this one here, which has the recess, which is where you put your bottle in and water will be dispensed. So that's the hardest one to mould. And the way that we make glass fibre components is you start off building what's called a plug, which is a master shape. And this is all the components. We cut all these out of MDF and assembled a plug. And we've got the real plug over here, we can show you. This is the plug that was built from that CAD model. And the purpose of the plug, as I say, is it's a master shape. So what you do is you put a release agent across the whole surface here, and then you laminate glass fibre onto here. And in fact, this is the piece. I'll show you. Put it in. So you laminate glass fibre in there, which gives you a reverse image of the plug, and that is your mould. And this mould has other flange pieces put on it. And from what you do then is you put flange pieces on this, and then you laminate another layer of glass fibre on the inside, like this. These flanges are made from the flange pieces that sit over both sides. You take the flanges off, and that becomes your quadrant component. And the quadrants go together into the base unit of the kiosk. So the 4 quadrants make one half, and this is the base half of the kiosk.
So these are the electronics parts. They are the gut of the kiosk, and they're going to be inside the base. This top part replicates what the panel here in front will be, which will be the user interface. And the way this works is there will be basically a bunch of filters here that will filter and sense the water before coming into the tank. And there from the tank there is the hydraulic and electronic system that will control the quality of the water inside the tank. Then the piping goes up here to these pumps on user demand. And back here are all the electronics that controls the power from the pump, the batteries that will run the kiosk, then the Arduino that controls the forms of payment, plus a screen and some other electronic bits that are around. And yeah, basically all of this in a couple of days we'll just put them in here before actually going to Tanzania.
So for a short presentation, there's an enormous amount of work goes into to doing those things that take 2 minutes to talk about. But we're taking this all to Tanzania in August. We're really excited about the field trip. We hope to be able to live stream to you guys from Tanzania. So I hope to give you an update and show you a functioning kiosk in its natural environment. And if you want any more information, please go and have a look at Majicom.com. No, Majicom.org.